What's up, YouTube? I've got a new hilt here that I'm really excited about that I wanted to share with you all. I just got this yesterday. Got to play around with it a little bit yesterday. I put some stunt wiring in it for a while and was just kind of messing with it, but then I decided to just wait until all my chassis parts come and just do it right. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to give you guys this kind of a little walkthrough, show you some of the cool features of this hilt, why I think it's awesome. And so yeah, to get started, here is the way to find info on the guy who's making these. His Etsy store is Rogue Armory Creations. Currently he only has sound level sabers posted on his Etsy store, but I'm gonna guess if you message him on Etsy, you might be able to find some other tiers, because I know on Facebook he's selling empties and stunt as well. And then his Instagram is Lord Jossus, and he's got some pictures of him machining them and some pictures of some of the different options. He's got the ability to do the emitter, the LED holder, the hilt, and the pommel are all separate, and he can do them out of various metals. And so he's got pictures of that, which is just cool to see. So it's a little shout out to him. Go check it out, add him on Instagram. I always advocate for the up-and-comer who's potentially going to bring new features to a hobby community. So anyway, getting started. Starting from the pommel, the D-ring I did myself. It's got a hole on the pommel in the center there, so I didn't have to drill that, although it is, I'm not sure what the size is, but these screws were a number 6 and it was still smaller, so it's like a number 4 hole in this. So my one gripe with the pommel would maybe be to have a slightly bigger hole that's going to be more accepting of a D-ring. The other thing too is it has sound holes, but the sound holes don't correspond to the switch hole. So it's kind of a minor gripe, but I'm gonna point out all the cons as well as the pros. The pros, this is a real brass pommel and it feels awesome. Having some actual weight at the end of the hilt gives it a really nice balance. So I really liked that about the pommel. Just a minor gripe with some of the sound vetting down there. You've got some machining here, and I chose to get the tumbled finish. You can also get polished, which would mean the whole thing would look like this. I just thought this would kind of correspond nicely with it, and I also will possibly be getting this wrapped in leather at some point. So moving down, you've got a slightly recessed 12mm anti-vandal switch hole. So just a single switch. I'm sure if you messaged him, you could maybe get a double switch or some things. That's kind of the cool thing about not a mass-produced saber is I'm sure if you had some special request, he'd be able to accommodate it. I liked this. I'm really trying hard to move away from kill keys up here because they're just kind of ugly. I'd almost rather recharge from, have a nice chassis, pull the chassis out and plug it in, which is the plan for this. Most boards have some kind of a sleep mode. So the kill key, maybe, at least to me, it should become kind of an outdated tech. Moving up, you've got this nicely machined part here. This is where the LED sits inside. On his new models, this is actually a separate part, whereas on this one it's machined in. And with this being removable, it gives you a lot of really good access down into the switch, and just for the LED, it would make wiring a lot easier. It's still really easy to wire, but just that's one more thing that's cool. Not to mention that's another part that you could potentially get in a brass or a copper or whatever you would want. The emitter, it's stainless steel, which gives it a really nice weight up here, and it's cool just to see another kind of metal. Something that's not as soft as aluminum. It's just gonna be a little harder of a metal, and it just gives it a cool contrast. And now what's really cool about this, as you can see, there's no set screws for anything. As I said, the LED module is, there's basically a lip in here, and this is set in place. So your module fits down in there, and then there's a collet locking system in here. So the inside of this is actually like a funnel and then there's it looks like PVC or some kind of plastic or polymer inside there. And so you slide your blade into that, and when you cinch this down, it basically cinches the blade up against the LED, and that collet system takes any of the slack out. So what you end up getting is as tight a system as you really could without needing a set screw. And I mean, this blade is nice and solid in there. I haven't had any issues whacking it against stuff with it coming loose or anything. My LED doesn't rattle, it's very secure. So to me, this is a much better system than the set screw. Plus, you don't need any tools. You don't have to carry around an Allen wrench if you did need to remove your blade. You can unscrew this by hand. Although, if you weren't going to remove your blade, it might be a good idea to use a little bit of the blue Loctite. I wouldn't use the red permanent stuff, but the blue Loctite might help. I put grease. One of the first things I did, I put a little grease on the threads because aluminum is really easy to strip, and especially when you're mixing and matching materials and metals, you know, it's easy to strip something out. So I put a little grease on it, but I haven't had any issues. I keep checking them when I've been playing around with it. Nothing's come loose. So that's awesome. As far as the length, as you can see here on my little measuring hobby pad, give you motion sickness for a second there. It's from the end of the emitter to the end of the pommel, it's right about 11 inches. Actually, what's not right about it's pretty much exactly 11 inches. If you go from where the LED module stops to where you have kind of usable inside space, you have about 7 inches. And then if you go from you know, your space that you would have for a chassis between the end of the switch and the end of the pommel, you've got about 6 inches. So you've got a lot of space to run a nice chassis. I mean, you might even, depending on what board you're running, you might be able to run a crystal chamber in there as well. It's got a lot of good usable space, which is nice. I'm used to working on sabers like this, where you've got a thin down section here, and the switch section is also about this skinniness level. So there's a lot of meat for the switch. I would say another minor gripe with this, I think that the switch section should maybe have a little more meat. The problem is my usual method of using Teflon tape doesn't work so well, because this has probably a good 1/4 inch or so of meat for that switch to hold on to, and this just doesn't. So with this being removable, it'd be easy to get a nut or some kind of a set device on that switch, but it's going to be really tricky for me to get down there and try and really secure that up. I'm not big on gluing, but that might be the way that I have to go with this. I just don't like it, because then if you ever need to take your switch out, you're heating it up and prying it. It's just a pain, but that might be the way to go with this. And the reason is it's got a 1.4 inch outer diameter and a 1.25 inner diameter. And you wouldn't be able to get that. If this was thicker, you would either be getting a larger outer diameter or a smaller inner diameter, and so it's kind of the compromise that you have to go with. So that's it's kind of a pain, but it's one of those things that you can only do so much about it. My only suggestion would potentially be maybe right here, during this section, or from here to here, machine it a little less, just so that there's a little more meat to go off of. Because my guess is that the inner diameter was 1 1/4 on the stock, and then it probably was just like a judging from this, probably like a 1/8 probably a 1/8 wall, and then so it went from there. So I would maybe just machine a little less here. That's just me. Maybe give it smooth, and then a risen section, and then you've just got this small section that doesn't have any machining on, that you could put wrap or what have you on there. Because also with the switch sticking up, it might be easy to activate. That's one thing I'm kind of concerned about, is running the Spark 2 that I plan on doing with a single switch. It'll make blaster sounds if I hit the switch, so I'm kind of worried. I've found that because of where the switch is, I don't really grip it like this as much as I'm grabbing it more like this when I'm using it, which still works great. I mean, you've got plenty of meat up here, that you're not going to slide your hand off on the blade. Not that it really matters, but it's kind of cheating if you grab your blade, in my opinion, because, you know, if it was a real lightsaber, you slice your hand off. But this thing, having real metal, has really nice balance and a lot of heft. It almost was hard to get used to at first, being used to all aluminum, you know, apprentice level sabers and stuff like that. But it really just feels nice. It's a bit slick here, which is why I was thinking the grip. That might be kind of another reason why having a little bit of rise right here might just keep your hand a little more secured. Like I said, that's just my suggestion. If I was doing it, that's probably what I would do. But overall, I'm really happy with it. I was kind of looking, I really liked the Vader's Vault Rev N, but because it's not an empty, it's probably something I will never buy, just because I enjoy doing the wiring myself almost as much as I do dueling. And then there was the Saber Forge Fallen, and I like that one a lot, but something that I thought was kind of cool about this, it's kind of being referred to as the KOTOR Saber, and what I like is in the original Knights of the Old Republic game, the stock lightsaber that Revan uses it's the stock lightsaber for everyone. Every lightsaber model is the same in that game based on what Revan's is, and it looks more like this. It doesn't have an extravagant pommel and you know, the brass up here and all that that's kind of become common. And so I like to refer to this as being simple and elegant. The contrast of metals looks really nice. It's nicely polished, but it's very, very simple. There's no bells and whistles and stuff. And I mean, on even a saber like this, it's a really simple saber. I'm just grabbing this because I have it up here. There's just some weird edges on it. I mean, it looks really nice, but from a functional perspective, there's times that I kind of just, you know, go, why? It's not necessary. I mean, you want it to look cool, but it needs to function too. And this very much does. This to me looks like something that you would, if you were building a real lightsaber, if you had the real components to make a, you know, lightsaber blade come out, this to me feels more like what you would want. And to some people that might be good, others they might want it to feel more toy-like or you know, not as real and heavy and whatnot. But I really, really like this. So yeah, hopefully I'll have in the next month, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll have all my components ordered and whatnot to finish the install, and I'll definitely be giving you guys a heads up then. And if any of my thoughts and perspectives have changed between now and then, I'll definitely be letting you guys know. But I would definitely keep an eye on this guy. His Instagram has a lot of pictures and stuff. I know he's told me he's got a few other sabers in the works, or I think he said it was like a Luke Return of the Jedi style, which I'm really looking forward to seeing because that's probably my favorite on-screen saber. And a lot of companies are doing them, and there's very few that really do it screen accurate, or you know, there's very few that claim that it's a screen accurate and it's not reinforced somewhere for dueling and whatnot. So I'm really curious to see that. Like I said, I mean, he's already been doing some revisions and stuff with this part being removable now, and anyway, yeah, give him a check out. I'll post links in the description as well if you don't feel like pausing the video to search for stuff, but definitely check him out on Instagram. Give him a like. Nothing wrong with cool lightsaber pictures showing up in your feed. Yeah, like I said, I've got a lot of stuff, big plans for this saber, doing some wiring and testing out some new boards and stuff, so I'll definitely be doing videos on those. And so yeah, subscribe if you have an interest in seeing those, and thanks for watching.